The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to WordStream's webinar, 7 Reasons Google Ads and Facebook Make the Perfect Pair. My name is Maggie, and I'm here to kick things off before passing it off to our experts, Kyle and Caitlin. I also want to remind everyone that if you didn't have a chance to run our free Google Ads grader before this session, click the link in the chat box to get a full audit of your Google Ads account completely free, and it only takes 60 seconds. Before we get started, I wanted to tell you all a little bit about WordStream. You might know us from all our free tools, our awesome content, or our amazing blog. We are premier partners of Google, Bing, and Facebook, and we offer a software here at WordStream called WordStream Advisor, which helps businesses succeed in the landscape of online advertising all in one place. WordStream Advisor makes online advertising with Google, Bing, and Facebook super simple. It helps to increase your ROI, gives you custom reports, and provides you with tons of features to save you time by simplifying your online advertising efforts. If you want to know more about how we can help you, definitely head to our website. As you get familiar with WordStream, connect with us. Find us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. You can learn, interact with WordStream customers, and see some awesome content. One last logistics slide before I pass this off. This webinar is being recorded, and you will be emailed the recording along with the slides within 48 hours after we end today's session. Also, please submit your questions throughout the webinar. We want this to be as beneficial as possible, so submit any questions you have, and we will do our best to get to as many as possible as we can in the end. Without further ado, I will pass things off to Kyle and Caitlin.
Hey guys, so my name is Kyle.
My name's Caitlin.
And we are excited to be talking to you all today about our 7 reasons why Google Ads and Facebook ads make every advertiser as their favorite channel, their preferred platform that they like to use more than others. Certainly a lot of the advertising agencies we talk to, I think usually rely more heavily on either Google or Facebook to meet their advertising objectives, but just one second, we have some sound issues going on. All right. Think we have things figured out. Apologize for that little bit of technical difficulty. So yeah, kind of reiterating that. So each of the advertisers, they probably have their own preferred platform that they like working on. Some rely a little bit more heavily on Google, some a little bit more on Facebook to kind of meet their marketing objectives. In the spirit of Valentine's Day coming up on Friday, we want to go into detail on why bringing these two platforms together in what's called advertising matrimony, you're really giving yourself the best chance to create a sustainable marketing funnel and drive revenue for your business. So before we dive into our presentation, let's more formally introduce ourselves. So my name is Kyle. I am part of WordStream's customer success team. I am a team lead currently heading up our Navigator service offering for our advertising clients. This provides a focus on long-term strategy and growth. So I'm someone who likes to look at both the big picture in order to provide some suggestions for both short-term and long-term success. I'm a big stats nerd as well, so I'm often diving into things like Google Analytics, looking into numbers and trends. But for today's presentation, I'll try to do my best to make things not too data heavy for you, at least today.
And hey guys, my name is Caitlin. Sorry about that. My mic decided to not work at the very last minute there. But I'm an onboarder here at WordStream. So when clients first sign on with us, I'm here to help them, guide them through the software and also help them establish workflows. I am also a content creator here at WordStream, so you may have guessed it, I'm a cross-platform enthusiast, starting with Facebook. So how about we kick things off with our first topic for today, brand awareness. Facebook, we all know it, we all love it, and you potentially serve your ads on it already. Or maybe you'll start after this webinar today. But before we get nitty-gritty onto this platform, that provides an edge into your marketing funnel, I want to demystify what marketing on Facebook platform actually entails nowadays. So besides the traditional Facebook timeline, there is Instagram. Kyle, you on Instagram?
Yes, I am. Probably not as much as you.
There's Messenger. There's Facebook Marketplace, and also Instagram and Facebook Stories, which I'm actually a huge fan of nowadays. But as you'll probably already know, you can't just throw your ads on a network and expect them to run. There are certain goals and strategies that match those goals that can launch you towards success. When it comes to getting your brand name out there, Facebook makes this really easy with the reach and brand awareness campaign types. When you first start to create a campaign, when you first start to create a campaign, Facebook asks you to choose your marketing objective, which helps serve your ads in Facebook in accordance with your overall goal. But here's what gets me excited. These campaign types allow you to use what's known as CPM bidding, or cost per thousand impressions, which essentially means that you, the advertiser, are paying for every 1,000 views of your ad, rather than on a pay-per-click basis. So this is so valuable because it really allows you to maximize the exposure your ads are getting on Facebook. And maximizing the exposure of your ads means maximizing the exposure of your overall brand. So you're going to see the option for CPM bidding at the campaign level when you go to connect your business page and set your budgets and bids. So you can see the two fields I highlighted here. So I want to break them both down. Starting off with brand awareness campaigns. These types of campaigns are used for advertisers who want to show ads to people who are more likely to recall them, not just simply show your ads to them. So think about it, like after 7 days, like, do you remember an ad? Do you remember the brand that it came from as well? And on the other side, there's the reach campaign type. And Facebook gives you these options to choose between optimize your ad delivery for reach or impressions. If you're wondering what the difference is there, reach is the number of unique users who see your ad, whereas impressions is the number of aggregate users who see your ad. So optimizing for reach gives you the luxury of setting what's known as something called a frequency cap, which says, okay, well, I want a minimum of a 7-day buffer between a single prospect seeing my ad, let's say twice. And then this field where you say like, I want to set a bid cap, which is where you're setting your target CPM bids. So you say, okay, well, maybe it's only worth me $2 to show my ad 1,000 times, or maybe it's even worth me, maybe $4. Maybe I'll throw $4 to show my ad 1,000 times instead. But how much you're willing to bid is, it as much as it matters. Like sometimes we can say, okay, well, these campaigns represent phenomenal opportunity to give your ads in front of a lot of people. That's really the bottom line here. And as great as it is as well, so we can also say, well, it's also very little money to maximize the amount of reach as well.
Cool. Let's switch over to Google Ads. So this is going to be a digital ad platform I'm sure many of you have been using for quite a while now. Google offers a wide range of campaign types, a lot of different targeting options that can help you expand your reach to gain brand awareness and more. With search and shopping campaigns, you're matching up to search intent based on keywords and product descriptions. With display and video ads, you're able to utilize data on behaviors, interests during times where your users aren't actually searching. Altogether, Google's reach is pretty astounding. Google's the most visited website, not just in the US, but in the entire world. And in second comes YouTube. Both of those entities are owned by Google. Looking at the numbers, there are over 3.5 billion search queries per day. There are more than 1 billion active users on YouTube who are watching over 2 billion videos a day as well. The ability to utilize Google's display network, that reaches 90% of the global internet users. So being able to utilize all of these different campaign types, they just ensure that you have the opportunity to really capture reach where it makes the most sense for your business, whether that's tied to an active search, recent browsing habits on products, or honestly just a related YouTube video, for example. So we know that both Google and Facebook each offer extensive reach for their advertisers in their own ways to engage with their prospects. At the end of the day, though, Facebook isn't Google. Google is not Facebook. That's why pairing these two platforms together really do ensure that you never miss an opportunity to get in front of your prospective customers when that time is right. So if we're reviewing the power of two platforms together, some of the stats that Caitlin mentioned, some of the stats that I mentioned, 94% of the online US population is using Google. 90% of global internet users can be reached on Google's display network. Over I think it's 79% of the online US population is on Facebook, including 69% of all adults. And 37% are on Instagram, which is just a number growing and growing every year. By using these platforms in tandem, you really do have the potential to reach, well, pretty much almost everybody. On the same note, though, reach and brand awareness is an important part of a robust marketing strategy, but it's only one part of the marketing strategy. Let's talk about the breadth of audiences both Google and Facebook offer for advertisers to engage prospects of all different intent types. So I know we have a few different WordStream customers who are joining today's webinar. I got some emails about it myself. So if any of my clients are listening, I'm sorry, you've probably heard me talk about this ad nauseum. I talk about audience targeting quite a bit when it comes to campaigns. I promise, though, I have my best intentions at heart for your accounts. So Google's really come a long way in the amount of options available for targeting different audiences. It's no longer limited to matching to users based purely on contextual targeting on the display network. Advertisers now have numerous options for different respective campaign types that allow you to implement some pretty unique strategies throughout your sales funnel. These options can include detailed demographics, honing in on known characteristics such as education, homeownership, relationship status, affinity audiences. These are going to be targeting users based on established long-standing interests or habits. That's going to differ from in-market audiences, which are targeting users based on products or services that they've been researching with a degree of recency and intent behind that as well. And then finally, remarketing, probably the audience type that most people are familiar with. This is re-engaging with users based on past actions that they've taken on our website, or maybe through info that they've given us through prior lead forms or something along those lines. So we've established by now that Google's overall reach is immense. By specifically targeting different defined behaviors or interests on display or YouTube, maybe layering in an audience through observation on search campaigns, we're able to personalize our messaging to specific relevant audiences. We can gain valuable insights as to what our target audiences are doing. We can optimize our bid strategy based on audience value and where they are in the funnel. We can improve overall performance by making some informed decisions and optimizations based on past performance. It allows us to hone in on audiences that lead to better results, oftentimes at a lower cost. So always keep an eye on changes that occur on Google's audience targeting as they continually test out different beta audiences, introducing new options to advertisers. For instance, back in November of 2019, Google allowed for combined audiences on search campaigns that allow for an even more granular level of control under targeting that was available before.
Kind of piggybacking off of that. So there's a lot of different audiences you can also utilize in Facebook. So website traffic, customer list, demographic targeting, and like that remarketing list that even Kyle was mentioning as well, which is also like probably one of the most like well-known lists that people utilize coming in even into WordStream as well. But one of my favorite strategies is actually to create something called a lookalike audience, as long as it's done well. So especially one off of a paying customer. So it stands to reason that if your goal is to get sales out of your Facebook campaigns, you need to target Facebook users that are similar to your existing customers. Simple concept, right? Well, it's even easier to create this audience. Sure, remarketing to your 30-day site traffic is great, but creating lookalikes based on existing leads is even better. So if you can build a prospect pool that consists of people who share the same traits as the people who have already purchased your product or service, you're giving yourself the best chance to generate new leads that will turn into customers. So the classic example I like to use is, say you have 3 seed audiences: 90-day website traffic to a product page, newsletter subscribers, and an existing customer list. So you can hope that the prospects who look like the 90-day website traffic people will convert to sales, but you can't really expect them to, because they're derived from an audience of people who have browsed your website but haven't really bought your product or service. And same with the audience based on newsletter subscribers. You can hope that this lookalike is going to download that white paper, read it, and then click on that free trial CTA, but you can't realistically expect them to. But last up, this is where that customer list comes in. When you create lookalikes based on an existing customer list, you're putting your ads in front of people who are more likely to be in the market for your product or service at the time they see your ad. So it's time to get a little bit technical. I promise you that this list isn't a hard audience to build, and it really isn't. So there's just a couple of steps to go through first. In the Facebook platform, to create a customer list, the first thing you have to do is create your custom audience, which is pretty simple. You can create an audience right as you create an ad set by selecting the Create New under the Custom Audience Select section. You then upload your customer list either as a template or right from MailChimp and save the file. Next step is creating a lookalike, which we can simply source the custom audience we created from the customer file and narrow it down by audience location. Then creating customer lookalikes in a nutshell. And that's how you can target prospects who have the highest levels of commercial intent to buy your product or service.
Yeah, I actually really strongly agree with that. Not just making a lookalike audience based off of people who visited your website, like an above average conversion rate is like 5 to 10%. So if you're making a lookalike audience based off of just website visitors, you're making lookalikes of over 90% of people who visit your site and don't actually take action. So as Caitlin described, like really hitting that customer list and making lookalikes based off those 5 to 10% who actually do take action means your lookalikes are probably going to be that much more qualified than just anyone who's been on your site before.
And you could even do continued testing as well by narrowing it down by other demographic targeting in the future as well. So even if you want to start off small, have the lookalike off of that customer list, see how it goes, and then in the future keep going with other types of restrictions. That's perfectly fine to start off that way. All right. So utilizing these platforms together when creating audiences allows you to leave no stone unturned intent-wise. You're capturing prospects at two different but equally important levels of intent users who are not actively searching for your products and services, but who are valuable to the amount of volume at the top of your funnel, and users who are searching for your products and services on Google, who immediately represent the potential to becoming committed buyers. So essentially, they work in harmony with each other. And that leads us into reason number 3, slide prospects smoothly through your funnel. Did you appreciate that, Kyle?
Nice emphasis.
All right. So remember this picture from my previous slide when we spoke about brand awareness? Well, although awareness campaigns are crucial to having a beautiful marketing funnel, or at least starting one, there is much more that Facebook offers to build off of a slide people through your funnel and through their sales cycle. So you have brand awareness and reach in the awareness phase, which would be at the very top of your funnel. You have objectives like traffic, engagement, and lead gen in the consideration phase. And finally, you have objectives like conversion and catalog sales in the conversion phase, which would be the very bottom of your funnel where you're optimizing for sales. And these campaign objectives are pretty powerful on their own, right? Because Facebook bakes the ad types and bidding strategies that are going to allow you to accomplish each objective into the campaign structures. Like for instance, when you're selecting the lead gen objective, you get to leverage lead ads, which are streamlined specifically for that consideration phase, where you're trying to entice prospects into the buying phase. And what that does is it allows you to control and utilize your data in a way that maximizes return at the bottom of your funnel. So if you want to run a really high ROI conversion campaign, for instance, you know that you're going to have to pair that conversion campaign with a really high intent customer audience or lookalike audience, or even that customer lookalike that we just talked about. Or if you want to drive conversions for a specific product group, but you're not confident that you have an audience that's going to allow you to do so in a cost-efficient way, you can create a custom audience based on a 30-day traffic to those product pages and go from there. So again, you have all these campaign types at your disposal when setting up your funnel, and that's inherently an advantage. But more importantly, you have the ability to really easily collect that data that you're getting at each stage of the funnel and use it to maximize profit at the bottom. They are all at separate pieces to the collective marketing funnel, so use each one to meet your goals.
Cool. So if we're switching over to Facebook from Facebook over to Google, your options are going to be slightly different. In the first reason, we discuss kind of the extensive reach that Google offers. And the second reason, we introduce the different audience targeting options within that reach. So kind of shifting things from what options were available on Facebook over to Google, let's actually talk about applying those different targeting options throughout different stages of the sales funnel. So let's take a hypothetical example. We'll start at the top of the funnel with a more broad targeting strategy. Let's say you've got some video ads that you're looking to run on YouTube and you want to focus on a broad user base with a goal of brand awareness. We can start with at least one relevant in-market or affinity audience that makes sense for your brand. We can then use like a shorter video that can't be skipped where we're trying to capture reach with a low CPM bid, trying to bid based on those 1,000 impressions. We could use a slightly longer video that's skippable and use a low cost per view bid that allows you to maximize a smaller budget so that you're only paying for engaged views of your video. Either option, it's going to have less of a focus on driving clicks to your website at that time and more of that goal of capturing reach and awareness. So the next step down the funnel would be to then create a remarketing list based on the users who actually watched your video ads. I would recommend utilizing a twofold approach with that particular remarketing list. First, on Google's display network, use some responsive display ads, getting them to take action towards that next step, maybe capture an email after they click on your image ad. Second, you could add that remarketing list as an observation to your search campaigns that will allow you to monitor the performance of your branded terms, your non-branded searches, to see if those users who watched your ads are leading to better click-through rates or conversion rates because they've already had some type of past engagement with you. The final step I would take in this example would be to drive more of those bottle of funnel actions through creating another remarketing list based on those next level of clicks and leads that you would have captured either through those branded searches or through those lead captures from the Google Display Network. In these new display ads that I'd want you to create, for that bottom of funnel, have these lead to product pages, demo requests, or depending on your business, something that's a more transactional page to support your business goals. So this is just one example. Not every funnel is going to necessitate 3 unique touch points. But this is a way to utilize both search, display, and video throughout the sales funnel. The takeaway here is that you have an abundance of options that can help facilitate the movement of prospective customers from the top down to the bottom. You guys may experience something different. Maybe the top and middle blend together, middle and bottom blend together a little bit more. You've got some options, test some things out, but there's a bunch of different ways that you can utilize a specific type of audience and get them to take a specific action. So the examples of the previous slide were limited strictly to different Google Ads campaigns, which, while versatile, it's siloed. You're only looking to interact with customers on one marketing channel. Again, this instance is Google. By pairing both Google and Facebook, your marketing funnel is fleshed out a bit more with the combined reach and behaviors of both platforms. So let's take a look at another example with some cross-platform audiences. On the left, you're looking at a snapshot of remarketing lists created in Facebook that interacted with a specific campaign on Google Ads. And so the use of those UTM parameters in these remarketing lists as opposed to a specific web page requires that a user interacted with some particular entity from Google Ads that had those UTM parameters as part of the URL. This would be similar to how in the last slide we created a remarketing list from YouTube ad views. Instead, we're leveraging data from one channel on Google based on a specific interaction over to another in Facebook. And we're targeting users who interacted with both. This allows us to kind of push users through the marketing funnel but on different platforms. So targeting like this can be utilized for some of your long-standing initiatives if you have specific UTM parameters you've been using for a while, or it could be utilized for some short-term marketing campaigns that have some parameters that have unique coding that you have set there. The reason that we'd want to utilize this cross-platform approach, it's evident in the data. Advertisers on Google Ads who just utilize Google search, there's a clear limit that they had based on based on their targeting, based on their keywords, based on their budget. But utilizing additional networks such as Google Display, such as YouTube, maybe you're introducing Microsoft ads on Bing as well as Facebook, you're leveraging the strengths of all of these different platforms in your targeting. The data from our observations at WordStream show that using that cross-platform approach of Google search plus something like Facebook ads, it led to a 34% increase in branded searches, which signifies that users are now intentionally looking for your brand after previously interacting with your ads in some way. So let's head into our fourth reason, increasing both the quantity and quality of leads from your ads, from your advertising initiatives. Increasing the quantity is obviously important for growth, but we should leverage both platforms to assist with improving the quality of those leads as you grow. So first up is Google, where we're comparing the differences in benchmark performances across Google Search and Google Display. We have a high level of control on Google Search campaigns as we can match to a very specific level of intent with our keywords. If a user is searching, they're actively looking for some type of solution to their query. This makes them a more timely, qualified prospect compared to passively scrolling through Facebook or using an app on a smartphone. That trade-off of intent does tend to come with a higher cost per click, but it also is offset with a higher click-through rate and also a higher conversion rate. These metrics are benchmarks across all different industries, so advertisers should expect some differences in performance and metrics based on these industries. I wouldn't want you to use these as pure metrics like this is exactly what I'm going to get in my industry. It's going to differ. So just that's something to kind of pay attention to and just use as a rough guideline. And additionally, while the cost per conversion is typically higher on display, it doesn't mean that you should only be investing in paid search because the cost per conversion is slightly lower on search. Balancing your ad spend and leveraging relevant quality audiences across multiple campaign types will assist in bringing quality leads at your cost per conversion goals. Also, we noted a few slides back that using display ads in conjunction with search leads to an increase in branded searches. Branded searches often have very, very low cost per conversion and high conversion rates. So just saying, should be something you should be looking to do.
Perfect. All right, time to dive into some data. So there are two primary means by which you can generate leads on Facebook: lead generation campaigns and conversion campaigns. And I'm a big fan of both. Lead generation campaigns, as we mentioned, use lead ads, so prospects don't have to leave the Facebook app to submit their information. Conversion campaigns, like standard traffic campaigns, send prospects to landing pages. So you would think intuitively that conversion campaigns would yield more quality leads, while lead gen campaigns would yield a higher volume. And at WordStream, we wanted to test that. So we ran a little data experiment testing these two campaign types. And we found in all of our clients' accounts, campaigns using lead gen campaigns convert leads at a higher clip than using conversion campaigns. The numbers were 12.54% to 10.47%. Now, to really get the numbers of lead quality, though, in terms of the ability of a lead to convert to a sale, we had to look in our own in-house account here at WordStream. Because there's not only a ton of data in our account, but we could also look in our CRM and see how often leads from each campaign type were converting to our overall sales. And what we found in our own account was that, again, lead generation campaigns can convert to leads at a higher rate, this time at 11.7% higher rate. But when we took into account what our business defines as a qualified lead, conversion campaigns actually perform better. They had a 5.7% higher conversion rate to a qualified lead and a 1.4% higher conversion rate to a demo. And a demo, just as our definition here, is when a lead ultimately requests a call from a sales team to demo our software. And I mean, and just as like a personal view, like I was a little surprised by this. Kyle, I'm not really sure what your personal views were from this, but to be honest, I thought like if someone like stayed on the page, like it was almost like we didn't like interrupt their experience. But I guess if we made them then go to like a specific page and maybe had them look at content, like it definitely like I guess it would attribute more towards them like getting a more catered experience, so them seeing like more of what WordStream could offer. So I guess it would make it more qualified in a way, less about volume. So that was kind of like my 2 cents on that. But the takeaway here is that lead generation campaigns seem to be more effective across the board at converting clicks to leads. But conversion campaigns take the cake when it comes to generating quality leads that are convert to sales. So depending on your objective as an advertiser, you have the ability to choose either of these campaigns types to get the kinds of leads that you want. So they can both bring them in, it's just a matter of your overall goals at the time. So together, basically, you have the ability with each of these platforms to be seriously discerning with the kinds of leads you're bringing in. Facebook generally has the higher conversion rates, but again, if you're looking for more quality, you can hedge against that by using conversion campaigns or by using the higher intent you're getting on Google to really maximize your ad spend. That brings us to reason number 5, aligning your brand. Facebook and Instagram are perfect places to showcase the most visually impressive sides of your brand. However, if your brand doesn't align on these two platforms, it can be hard for your message to stick. Whenever I discuss ad creative with my colleagues or even my own personal clients, I usually like to push 3 main consistencies, and that is color, images, and message. So on the screen here, I have 5 ads we've used here at WordStream over the past couple months. And you may even recognize the one at the bottom right. So notice how all these ads are different, maybe even advertised to different types of products and intent, but you notice how they all fit very nicely together. They all have the same overarching theme to how they are presented, although they may be advertising completely different products or webinars. And in a way, they don't even disrupt the feed at all. So like if I'm scrolling through and I see like multiple different types of ads for the same type of company, even though like it does like pop out to me in a way because it does align with what I do, at the same time, they do all fit with the overarching theme of WordStream and what they offer. So I think Facebook is the perfect place to set the tone with these compelling visual assets that you can then call back to with a consistent messaging in your search ads. But I'll let Kyle get into that just a little bit more.
Yeah, Caitlin, I completely agree. Facebook's an excellent platform to be engaging and visual, have that consistent tone and messaging that aligns with your brand. They can really make or break like your prospective customers and their experience with your ads. That same sentiment does hold true for Google Ads in conjunction with Facebook or as a standalone platform. With inconsistent messaging, we risk confusion and loss of trust with some prospective customers. And so on the slide, we've got examples of 3 ads, one each on search, display, and video across Google Ads. So you guys are attending this webinar. You've obviously interacted with WordStream before. My guess is that you've seen at least one of these ads somewhere over the past few weeks or months. Our colleagues on our marketing team have been using these ads to tie together a cohesive message across various touchpoints around the internet and through different stages in the funnel. So based on where our users, including you, are browsing, they also turned Caitlin and I into cartoons to market this webinar, which is awesome. So I have nothing but a lot of love for our marketing team. But for these ads, like the ads on the slides prior, utilize a similar message and tone that fits WordStream's brand, which is something that you should be considering when finalizing your own ad creative. So let's venture off WordStream for a little bit and discuss another brand's marketing efforts, Slack, and their rebrand that they undertook in 2019. So previously, Slack had utilized various different brand logos, which you can see in the bottom left image on the slide. I know it's a little blurry, but hopefully you can kind of make all of those different images out. In Slack's press release, they noted that those logos were, quote, all pretty good, but not at all cohesive. And the important thing about being a brand is that whenever people see you in the wild, they should recognize that it's you. So that statement holds true when it comes to your ads as well. You should be delivering an experience that clearly communicates your business value, highlighting your key and differentiating features, utilizing a consistent tone and message so that your prospective customers kind of understand why they should be recognizing your brand and following through on the calls to action that you're giving them. So when you perfect your brand alignment across more than one channel, prospects not only kind of gain trust and recognition with your brand, they're going to recognize your consistency and be reinforced and excited to work with a brand that they are now seeing as more and more high value. So let's head over into our sixth reason, adapting your strategy with performance insights. I mentioned during our interactions that during our introductions that I am a big data nerd. So with my clients, I'm often taking a look at how audience have interacted with different ads, certain ad copy images, or how video have performed. And so this is what I would use to start to run different tests based on those past performances. There are numerous ways to run tests on Google Ads. Some are a little bit more manual than others, such as copying an ad that's performing well and then changing something in the headline or description, maybe the final URL. In other instances, a simple way to iterate on account performance and strategy is to utilize an A/B test, also known as a split test, using different campaign settings or maybe split testing your ads. This can range from changes to ad copy, again, a change to the landing page. You can do something through Google's ad variations tool within their native UI. You can create a campaign experiment that changes things on bidding strategies. There's a lot you can do when it comes to split testing. So once you've initiated some type of variation or experiment, and a significant amount of data has been collected and observed, you can start to make more permanent changes on the account that can be made from there. Bidding strategy is one of the more frequent questions I get from clients, and whether they should be utilizing something manual or automated. Both have their pros and cons, and I know that sounds like a really lame kind of diplomatic answer, but it's true. This is where a campaign experiment can provide a test as to which strategy truly performs better for your campaigns. Could be the deciding factor on whether you want to maintain full control or let Google's algorithms kind of move forward from there.
On the Facebook side, using existing data to inform new campaigns is great, but there's nothing quite like the thrill of pitting two campaigns against each other in a classic duel to see who comes out victorious. So obviously now it's the time to plug my favorite movie series, Star Wars. I told you I was going to put them in there somewhere, Kyle.
Nerd.
And that's exactly what you can do with Facebook's test and learn feature. Now, you never want one of your campaigns to perform badly, but in this scenario, you sort of do, because test and learn is going to allow you to determine in a vacuum which one of your two Facebook campaigns is performing in a given metric. In a way, it simply takes the guesswork out of new campaign changes that you want to make. So these types of tests help you demystify questions like, is this targeting strategy working better for me? Am I going to use this in future campaigns? Or my favorite, is this ad creative working for me? Do I need to stray away from this type of language? My favorite little piece of this is it lets you choose the winner. These are the types of tests you can run with this tool, and it's going to allow you, as the advertiser, to iterate ever so slightly across campaigns and see firsthand which changes have the biggest impact on the overall results. So both of these platforms have some pretty powerful split testing capabilities. And whether you're testing an aspect of your ad creative or higher risk strategies like bidding, you can use these tools to glean valuable insights from your campaigns and apply them across channels. So when in doubt, run experiments and tests, and take what works and utilize them in tandem with other platforms. Next up, reaching your advertising goals and KPIs. So let's check out some more data to see how Facebook and Google stack up in the KPI department. Quick plug here. If you haven't checked out our amazing benchmark articles here for Facebook and Google, you are missing out. I think we mentioned here that Facebook drives lower CPMs than Google, so you're paying less per 1,000 impressions, but also drives lower CPCs, as you can see here as well. We've also already mentioned that because you have access to things like lead ads, conversion rates are higher on average on Facebook than they are on Google. Now, the comparison here is not exactly like apples to apples because clicks are going to be more inherently qualified on the search network than they are on Facebook because you have that commercial intent. So advertisers are going to be more willing to pay a premium for those clicks. But depending on your objective, Facebook is the perfect place to focus on driving inexpensive clicks, whether that's purely for traffic or you're trying to build audiences for other channels.
Yeah, so as Caitlin said, your performance benchmarks will differ on Facebook compared to Google. And even within Google, it's going to differ depending on the specific network and campaign type that you're using in Google Ads. Display ads and video ads are going to act a little bit more similar to Facebook with lower CPM and better cost per click. Search campaigns are going to have that and lower cost per click. But search campaigns with that clear intent are going to offset their higher cost per click with a better expected click-through rate, as well as typically a better conversion rate. Additionally, your prospective customers will behave differently at the top of funnel when they might just be starting their research compared to those in bottom of funnel when they're ready to act. Again, you should be optimizing your account based on where your users are at the campaign level while aiming to outperform benchmarks that we've provided across your entire account. That's with respect to even going past those benchmarks to the KPIs that are most important for your business. You may look at quality score as a main KPI, click-through rate, conversion rate, ad visibility, or more to kind of gauge the success of your account, but there's always changes that can be made across audiences, ads, bids, et cetera, to really exceed your marketing goals. After the webinar, head over to our Google Ads Grader on our site to see how your account performance kind of stacks up to others in your industry. So incorporating both Google and Facebook is something both Caitlin and I discuss very frequently with our clients, and is something we will absolutely continue to advise. When you're limiting yourself to just one platform, you'll likely eventually reach that marketing wall and just get frustrated about what to do next. So when you're implementing cross-platform strategies, we're very confident that you and your marketing funnel will feel as happy as Jim and Pam when they finally get together in season 3 of The Office. So one bonus tip, WordStream Advisor is built around supporting those cross-platform strategies and optimizations. And advertisers that have linked all of Google Ads, Microsoft Ads on Bing, and Facebook Ads to an account in WordStream, they convert 30% more leads for their business. So we've thrown a lot of info at you today, but let's quickly recap what happens when you marry Facebook and Google. So first, you're able to maximize reach and brand awareness where your customers are. Second, you can leverage audiences to engage prospects of all intent types. You can use these behaviors and interests to slide prospects smoothly through your funnel, generating an improved quantity and quality of leads. You can better align your brand with consistent messaging across multiple touchpoints and platforms, and better adapt your strategy with more robust insights. All of this while overall reaching and exceeding your advertising goals and KPI.
So this is the point of the webinar where we usually give you the big takeaway. Maybe even give you a corny quote to send you off. And don't worry, Kyle and I usually don't disappoint in this field. But here's what I want to say before we sign off for the day. 2020 is the year to get out of your comfort zone. The world of digital marketing, especially the world of PPC, is always changing, and we need to be more agile than ever. A way to be a step ahead is to adopt the cross-platform approach now. And what better way to start off with Facebook and Google? If you want to experience a unique kind of exponential growth that's going to truly make an impact on your bottom line, start using some of the strategies that we talked about today. You'll see that there are unique growth levers on each of these platforms that you can't live without, and it'll really take your ad game to the next level. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. That was tons of awesome information. Before we get to questions, if you are interested in speaking with one of our PPC experts about your account, please take us up on this offer that is on your screen right now by hitting yes. This call is completely free, and one of our experts will do an individualized account analysis of your Google and Facebook campaigns. And to all the agencies on the line, this is a great opportunity to audit a prospect or a new client we are bringing on for PPCs that you are bringing on for PPC services. If you're interested, definitely click here on the offer on your screen, and I will leave that up as we get into some questions. So while you guys are answering that, we will jump into some questions. So we had a couple of people asking questions in regards to budget. Somebody said, I don't have a huge budget to put towards online advertising. Would you guys recommend that I put all of my limited budgets towards just Google or just Facebook, or should I spread it out a little bit over both?
So kind of reiterating on the whole point of today's presentation, I would recommend, if possible, to split your budget at least partly across both Google and Facebook. Something that you could look to do is to really just kind of hone in just on the the middle of the funnel and bottom of the funnel, yes, you may sacrifice a little bit of growth in the short term because you're not hitting that top of funnel that can eventually lead down and convert. But there are different things that you can do to even strictly remain visible to just people who fall under particular audiences, even on search. That could eliminate people who Google doesn't have as much data on, for instance, or it could just be something where you're restricting your Facebook targeting to just a very small pool of users.
And definitely piggybacking off of that as well. I would say like a large chunk of people who come to us at first, like they start off in Google, but usually the next step that we do, like that we offer after that, is usually Facebook. So even if you want to start off small, maybe do a couple of Google campaigns first, get comfortable with that, and then expand into Facebook, and then even talk about being in tandem with that as well. You are definitely not alone in that regard. We definitely help out with a lot of small businesses who may even just be getting started. So um, this is you're definitely not alone in that regard.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Okay, so another question that we have, somebody was saying, if I'm new to audience targeting, would you guys recommend that I begin broad and then I narrow it down, or kind of the opposite? This is my first time ever doing it, so how do I kind of start off and not tamper with things a little bit too much?
So the first thing I would recommend is if you're already doing search campaigns, the simplest thing to do is find relevant audiences and add them as observation within those campaigns. By adding something as observation, it doesn't necessarily limit your audience limit your audiences to only those who fall into those lists who can see your ads. You're already matching up to those audiences to begin with. Observation just simply says, hey, who falls under these particular lists you've selected, these particular audience types that you've selected, and what's their performance. If you're already doing search, this could be a good way to pick a few different relevant audiences, see who performs best, and then take that and move that over to Google Display or a similar type of audience that would be on Facebook. But if you're already doing search, that would be my first recommendation for audiences.
And then on the Facebook side of things as well, I would say like one of the most popular strategies that we implement just to get things started is remarketing, or another way of saying that is retargeting as well. So if you're in an industry that allows that, like while you're running ads on Google, having that retargeting as a way to, almost like work on like the funnel approach that we spoke about is gonna just like almost introduce you into the world of targeting. And you can even do that in the world of Google as well.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. So we had a lot of questions. People were really into everything you guys had to say about lookalike audiences, asking lots of questions around those. So just kind of on a broad scale, when you're creating a lookalike audience, how large does that list need to be? We had a couple of people on here with some small customer lists. So sort of how big does that need to be? Is there a limit? And then also in addition to that, what does that customer list look like? Is it just name and email, or sort of like how much information needs to be provided on that?
So on Facebook, it only needs to be emails. You just need to match up to at least 100 different Facebook profiles if you're using an email list. If you're doing a remarketing list on Facebook, it does need to be 1,000. I actually think this is an advantage of Facebook, that matching up to a customer list only needs to have 100 matches. If you're starting small with lookalikes, I would absolutely start with just the closest 1%. What both Google and Facebook will do in their lookalike targeting is, based on who is matched up from your list, it will try to, within the percentage of the algorithm you've selected, in this instance, let's say 1%, it's going to find people on that list, look at their demographics, their behaviors, things they're interested in, things they browse, and it's going to find other users in your targeting area, in your location targeting, who most closely fit those different demographics, behaviors, and interests.
The only time, like I say, like be wary of lookalikes is when you do make them. Sometimes they can be very large, like right at the very beginning. So just know, like in the world of Facebook, whenever you set a budget, Facebook is usually very good about spending budgets. So the audience size you have, make sure that you are comfortable with the targeting that you have. And when in doubt, narrow yourself a little bit more so that you're comfortable. The lookalikes is a great place to start, but we also have those other options of narrowing yourself further with other demographic interests. You can see it underneath that little lookalike tab, and it says like you can add demographics. You can even add exclusions as well. So if you're in a very like specific industry, but you know that you're kind of like narrowing on the edge of like other industries as well, like Coach is a great example. They do handbags, they do shoes, they do a bunch of other accessories. You can say maybe you want to exclude shoes if you're kind of in that accessories field. That's something great that you can do.
Yeah, and even if you're just concerned about budget, for instance, adding in one of those behavior interest on top of a lookalike, the algorithm for lookalike should already be pretty close, but just adding in that particular behavior interest is essentially setting an assurance that even within that lookalike list, there also has to be that clearly defined behavior interest as well.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So it looks like we have time for about one more question. So Kyle, in the ad variation example that you showed on the screen, your time period was about a month. Sort of a question for both of you. Is that a typical length for testing? Does it vary depending on Google and Facebook? Does it depend on the test? Can you guys just go into a little detail about some testing?
So you actually get to set the time period for the test. Depending on how many different ads you are actually looking to do that ad variation, I would recommend just making sure that you have a time period to run that test that you're able to accrue enough impressions. I would not want to advise any of my clients to make long-term decisions based on a couple hundred impressions. That's going to get me barely any data. And so I would recommend at minimum, if you're getting a lot of traffic already, maybe a 14-day period, get a full 2 weeks. 30 days would probably be better. And I know that stinks that we definitely want to be seeing data and good performance as soon as possible, but testing does take time. So typically 2 weeks is the minimum I'd recommend. A month is even better. But if even over that time you feel that there's just not a statistically significant amount of data to make a decision, just I would recommend further running that split test until you have enough good data.
And on the other side of that, like the whole, like what if there's too much data? So seasonality is another thing. So don't run experiments, or if you're going to run experiments, make sure that there's external factors that you're also talking about as well. So if you're going to run an experiment around like a busy, like the holiday season, make sure that you're also weighing in those impressions that you're getting, especially if you're making like large changes, like maybe talking about bidding strategies around that time. That's just another factor to weigh in. Um, but I always say like 30 days is usually like my go-to whenever I'm discussing like what type of time period. Anything less than that, I kind of get a little, I like to have at least 30 days worth of data, maybe even more if I'm really trying to get like a larger data pool. But I always say more data is better than less data.
Thank you guys so much. That was tons of information. I really appreciate it. Everybody on the line really appreciates it. We still have some questions coming through. Feel free to submit those. If you submitted a question and it wasn't answered, we will be sending those questions off to our experts who will be getting back to you. And again, don't forget to sign up right now to chat with an expert about your account. And thanks everybody for attending. We hope to see you guys at next month's webinar.